Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. Look, this would be considered special edition because it's done so late at night, but the motivation that pulled me to do this show was so powerful and so strong that I couldn't let it go, right? So I have to bring you this show because sometimes you got to give back to those individuals who shaped and molded so many people that it would be a crime not to pay homage to them. And I'm speaking of Farrakhan. And I like to say that Farrakhan, he broke the mold. Now, why am I saying this? Because I'm understanding what's going on. The real reason why Jesus was killed is because he said, all of ye are gods, children of the Most High God. Jesus was telling the indigenous people that were natural to the earth, because he knew that the rulership of others who was not natural to this earth was going to use a system of tricks and lies to rule over the indigenous people of the earth. So he was saying, hey, all of ye are gods, children of the Most High God. Oh, if you just had the faith of a mustard seed, you could say to the mountain, move, and you could move the mountain, right? But what he was saying was, look, don't fall too deep in this sleep, because if you fall too deep in the sleep and forget who you are, you'll be a victim forever. But if you know who you are and the powers that are within you, then you can overcome any situation. But that was a threat because the people who were not indigenous to the planet Earth, they didn't want any competition. They didn't want anybody waking black people up. And those black people who did wake up, they made them take an oath that they won't tell who the true and living God was and is. And they bowed down, took the oath. Jesus, they took him out. Now there was another one, and they hated him, worked against him day and night, right? Because he asked the question. He said, who is the original man, right? And then the question was answered. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe, right? And they like, whoa, that was too heavy, right? We gotta fight you. We gotta malign you. We gotta come against you. We gotta make your job hard. But Jesus created the spark. And that's why his name will live on throughout infamy, because he put the power back in the man. All of ye are gods, children of the Most High God. And people started to thunder with that. They started to question it. They started to try and understand what he meant, right? Which started making them vibrate a little higher, on a higher plane, right? Then here comes the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. who is the original man? The original man, Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe, right? Some would add father civilization. Okay, all that is true. Right? And they like, okay, wow. And more start moving on that, understanding it, right? Then here come Minister Farrakhan. When you look in the mirror, talking to the original man and woman, you looking at God. Wait a minute. That got him a line, got him banned from the UK, knocked off social media. Why? Because people can't run amok throughout the planet if the indigenous or the original inhabitant of the planet Earth is wide awake. They only can run amok if the people are asleep. So money goes into keeping the people asleep. Music will be changed. Vibrational pitches will be changed. Frequencies will be changed. The destruction of resources on the planet will happen, all in the name of keeping the indigenous, the original inhabitants of the planet Earth, asleep, right? While they rob the planet of its resources. Wow. I mean, it's real, right? Now, some may say, well, I just I don't believe it. I don't think that, people would actually treat human beings like that. And some of these people who ask these questions are black people, all right? And every time they open their mouth to say something like that, new evidence pop up to show the cruelty and evilness that was done to black people at the hands of others, right? I mean, every time, the incident, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, popped up, bam, look what happened. Look at what happened in Natchez, Mississippi with the Devil's Punch Bowl. All right. I mean, every time you say human beings don't do human beings that way, look, Henrietta Lacks, Emmett Till. I mean, the list goes on. And now today, who's being maligned, right? They're coming after David Chappelle. Why coming after David Chappelle? One, they still upset at the fact that he defied them when he would not put that dress on. They tried to force Dave Chappelle into dress like they did all the other comedians and actors and made him put that dress on. Dave Chappelle said, I'm not doing it. But the thing is that was his Ali moment. People love Dave Chappelle for standing up for what he believes in, right? And what he believes in. But then Dave Chappelle asked the question, is there racism in the transgender community? Stop, hold it. Is there racism in the transgender community? When he asked that question, that was something that they didn't want to come out, that they didn't want to come out, and that they didn't want to deal with. Because the goal was to align the civil rights struggle with the LGBTQ struggle and merge them together. They came in, because he has a big name, a lot of followers, and they felt he messed up their plans and their agenda, right? But Netflix was like, hey man, you can't police comics, because over the years, comedians talked about everybody. And I watched the special. He didn't really say nothing to. He didn't say anything that was derogatory. To be policed that way. He's a comedian. He's saying what comedian saying does what comedian does, and he didn't say anything that was just so far out there out of line. So it made people wonder. But I brought Dave Chappelle up to make the point that there's always some horrific drama or someone who's being maligned on something that's been normal since I was coming up for decades. Now all of a sudden it's not normal. So it leads one to believe, wow, do these people create situations to where they can feed off negative energy or fear? Do they refuel or charge up on negative information and fear to keep the people docile and afraid and scared, and they sit back and feast on that fear energy? I mean, it's a possibility. There's so much going on, But when you have someone that can look you in the eyes and repeat in today's lingo or terms, or interpret, all of ye are gods, children of the Most High God, right? And they keep that spirit and that energy alive. In today's time, you gotta pay homage to greats such as that, right? You gotta thank Jesus, man, for making a bold statement like that in his time. Telling the indigenous all that ye are gods, children of the Most High God, when a new rule was forging its way in, right? And the only way that they can rule is that the indigenous people would damn near had to be depleted of all the knowledge of who they are and knowledge on how to use all the internal tools that they have at their disposal. Right? That had to be rough, but it had to be done in order for them to rule, for the non-indigenous to rule. Certain things certain tricks had to be played, certain lies had to be told to make it right for their rulership. It's sad, but it was part of the game, right? And then for someone to come along and say, hey, do you know how powerful you are and what the Creator bestowed upon you, as a people? Why y'all sitting around acting as if there's nothing you can do and you're just going to be a victim to white supremacy for the rest of your lives? That don't work, and that's impossible. It don't work, and it's impossible. But at the end of the day, continue to study, continue to read. Message to the Black Man, great book. But understand that the message or messages that Minister Farrakhan gave was to raise up the God in you so you could save yourselves. Verbal Pick Radio. We're out.